everybody, I'm Soben Pin, the co-founder and publisher of Khmer Post USA. With this week's news, I'd like to bring you information from Rhode Island. In our print, we ran a story on Cranston Portuguese Club to pay Cambodian people for discrimination. A joint investigation by the Office of Rhode Island Commission for Human Rights and the Department of Justice brought charges against Cranston Portuguese Club at 22nd Avenue and City of Cranston for the violation of Civil Rights Act. Initially, attorney Shanna Cullen at PRISM, which stands for Provident Youth Student Movement, made a complaint to Rhode Island Commission for Human Rights that the club discriminated Cambodian descent by imposing police detail fee while non-Cambodians were not. Rhode Island Commission for Human Rights worked with PRISM attorney to train volunteers to do what called a sandwich test. The test was involved 3 couples, and they were trained to pretend that they were looking to book the venue for their wedding reception. The first couple to visit the club were Cambodian descent. They were asked if they were Cambodian by the second question. Then they were required to hire the police details. The second couple visit on a different day were Caucasians. The club representatives showed the hall like a normal procedure, but then there were no questions asked about ethnicity or having to hire the police details. The third couple of Cambodian descent were sent. It was repeated again like the first couple. With this evidence, we felt comfortable to move forward with the case and file charges against the club and the city of Cranston because the police was also involved in this illegal practice, although they deny it. This was such an extraordinary case. We had never handled anything like this in the history of Rhode Island Commissions for Human Rights, said Francis Gashin, attorney at the Rhode Island Commission for Human Rights. After 2 years, the case settled in March 2019 that included the Cranston Portuguese Club is required to pay back the police detail fees to all Cambodians who held the event at the venue dating back as far as 2015. The club is also required to post an apology notice to the Cambodian people at its venue and conduct staff training about the discrimination practice. Sarat Sung, executive director of PRISM, said, "I think the settlement is helpful, but I don't think it's fully paid back the dignity of the Cambodian people who had lost that caused by the club discrimination practice over the years. It is one of the cases that got exposed. I believe there are more cases that discriminate against the Southeast Asian community. We want to make sure we stay committed to fighting against discrimination for our people." The fee paid for the police details were $250 per event. Some individuals held the event at the venue multiple times over the years. If you believe you are entitled to this claim, please contact Rhode Island Commission for Human Rights at 401-222-7563. I am really glad that this brought to light. They cannot take advantage of us no more, said Sarat of CNRP, member of Cambodia opposition party who had events at the club regularly. This lawsuit, called Michael Evora on behalf of Rhode Island Commission for Human Rights versus City of Cranston, is still ongoing with the negotiation for a settlement agreement. The claim settlement is agreed only 45 days period, which will end January 12, 2020. So if you believe you're entitled to this claim, please make that call or visit our website for the story. For more information at www.khmerpostusa.com. I'm Soben Pin. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's go to the interview segment. Hi everybody, I'm Soben Pin here at the studio. Joining me by Vitcheka Kong, CMAA Board President, and Sovanna Peouv, the Executive Director of CMAA. We're here today because they're having a 35 years anniversary celebration coming up, and we'll be talking about what it means.
Thank you for having us, Soben.
Thank you, V.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Soben. Thank you for having us.
Welcome. So I know you guys been kind of all over. You have your own TV segment, which you've been talking about this celebration.
Mm-hmm.
You were just on air with Teddy Panos, the WCAP this morning, and you know, and I think it's kind of you in this little bubbles that everybody's talking about you guys. So I want our audience to have a chance to really get to know CMAA and you personally, really, because you both came as child refugees. And with this 35 years of organization, what does it mean for you personally? You know, you serve as board president and as executive director in the same generation.
Yeah.
So, V, you want to take a peek at it?
Well, my history with CMA hasn't really been as long as Sovanna's, but I started as a volunteer 6 years ago for the fundraising committee. I work for Washington Savings Bank, so I do community relations, and part of my job is to reach out to nonprofits in our city and try to help and support our community members that are our customers. So when I started my position at CMAA 6 years ago as a volunteer, I never thought that I would join the board, and I'm currently fundraising chair, but also board president. This year was my first year as president, and I couldn't be happier or I'm honored to be a part of this organization. It means so much to me. I worked a long time along with Sovanna, trying to you know, do as much as we can with this organization as to put light into the community and make sure that they know that this is a place where they can come for support and help and just a friendly face. CMAA has been a part of this community for 35 years, yes, and has affected this community for that long. But like any other small organizations, we've had our troubles and we've had our successes. But I think it says a lot about the need in the community, the staff, the board of directors, our volunteers. I think that we have grown a lot in the last 35 years, so this year's celebration is a huge milestone for us. It's a birthday party, and we're going to try to make it that. So I'm just happy to still be a part of it and to put, you know, my time and my effort and to make this the best party yet.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds exciting, and I know, like, I'm still. When you look at number 35 and you're just like looking back, what does it mean? Because you yourself not very much beyond 35 years old. So, and you came as a child. Like when you look back, like, how do you really feel? Like, what this organization means to you?
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. Thank you, V, for sharing your thoughts about being on CMAA, and for, you know, you actually gave yourself not as much credit because you do a lot. You know, CMAA is not the only organization that you're committed to spiritually and mentally.
Thank you.
You sit on a lot of boards, and it's really helpful for organizations and like CMAA, but also communities like Lowell to have people like you in it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Soben, thank you as well for you and Khmer Post to give us a chance to talk about not just about us, but about CMAA as well and what it truly means to us. CMAA means a lot to me, definitely, because as you mentioned, as both child refugees, I arrived to the States at a very young age. CMAA, you know, turning 35, when it was first established, I was 4 years old. You know, I was 4 years old, living in Chicago, living in the projects. But because my mother was able to find out that we had family in Lowell, we moved here in 1987. And so since 1987, I've lived in Lowell and have been part of the Lowell public school system, have seen the city change, and have seen the impact that CMAA had in the Khmer community. When I first moved to Lowell, my mother actually went to CMAA to get support. When I was 7 years old, and she went there to see if we can not just get myself into school, but she can get help with a driver's license, but also getting food stamps and on assistance and things like that. But then if you fast forward it up to when I was 20 years old, I've actually came back to CMAA, and I was part of the Community Employment Service Program, which means that CMAA was federally funded to make sure people that are from the Khmer community will work in nonprofits or any other work in Lowell. So being 20 years old, I was able to apply. I was approved. The one organization that was listed as an employer was UTEC. So that's when I started working at UTEC, and I've been at UTEC from the year 2001 all the way to 2013. And so I've been part of UTEC for over 12 years, and I believe in my heart that my nonprofit work experience came from being at UTEC for that long. But also as a teenager growing up in Lowell, Lowell had its challenges for the Cambodian community, and for me, being the eldest of my family as well, I think the best way for me to stay out of trouble was to make sure that I joined nonprofit programs. So after school, I would go to after-school programs, started dancing, started volunteering my time, and so I've been involved with nonprofit and community work since I was like 12 years old. So.
When you're working at UTEC, did you imagine one day you'll be leading the CMAA? What you're doing today?
No, not even close. No. I started CMAA when I was 33 years old, and so 33 turned 34. So I think that I wanted to continue to do community work, but not necessarily run an organization. But I have to say though that it's been a great experience so far. You know, being the director of an organization that not only helped your own family and yourself, but the thousands and thousands of families that came before and that today, it means a lot to me personally. I've always been that individual in my group of friends where I would welcome anybody that's different from our group. I was part of a breakdancing group. You know, we were the cool kids in high school.
Oh wow!
You know, we would.
So he says.
So he says. People tell us.
So I hope one day you do breakdancing fest, maybe on a different show.
Sovanna and I have known each other since high school. So
oh yes,
I remember
you
him
went to the same high school.
Breakdancing in high school.
Yeah.
And I was a part of the board when we first hired him as our executive director. So it was definitely full circle to see him from, you know, this teenager breakdancing in the streets of Lowell to leading a nonprofit organization representing the Cambodian community. So it's pretty amazing.
So this is.
I laugh all the time.
So you have the history being a kid together, and then now you know you share this professional working relationship and friendship. This is you know with similar background in the family and where you've been. I mean, how do you feel every day in day out seeing each other at meetings, and how are you guys doing?
It's become a family, really. Like not just Sovanna and myself, but our board members, our staff. We run into each other all the time. They have such a family feel. At CMAA, we have Thanksgiving together, we have the holidays together. You know, if a holiday or birthday wasn't celebrated at CMAA, it was just like, it's just that culture there. And like Sovanna and I, we did go through school together, and we both live in the city and grew up in the city. And just like him, I came to the city in 1984, I want to say, and I started school here. My kids go to school here. I work in the city, so we're definitely a fixture. And for us to be a part of something that makes an impact to the community that we grew up in, that we belong in. So this city has just amazing ways of welcoming immigrant community, and we are definitely a testament to that. So for the city to take us in and you know, nurture us and bring us up the way we brought up, I think we did pretty good for ourselves, and I think we're doing a good job trying to give back to the community that served us so great, right?
Yeah.
CMAA also have gone through, you know, some earlier. It's interesting to me that you mentioned the word that CMAA have gone through some tough time, and you know, and you ride out of it, and I mean, in the '90s. And in early 2000, for that matter, like CMAA was going down, was in a hot mess. Political turmoils, you know, relating to the vote, Hun Sen's, all these, and then I know that for so many years you try to keep your organization out of this political turmoils. Mm-hmm. How are you guys doing so far? Like, since you led the organization 5 years ago, like, are you guys successful at this?
Yeah,
and also bridging the relationship with those people who drawn themselves away because of what happened in the past. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah, I could share with you that, Yes, it's not an easy job. It is not an easy thing to tread because politics is sensitive to no matter who you talk to, right? Whether it's American politics, whether it's politics in Cambodia, whether it's politics in a different country. It's part of people, it's part of the way we make decisions. What I think was really important to remember is that people are passionate about politics. There's something that's driving them to be engaged. And how do we tap into that passion, right? For example, CMAA has been able to work with the Clementi Park Committee to host Khmer New Year parades. Khmer New Year parades is a pause in the year where it doesn't matter what political area you're from or arena you're from, you're able to come together and celebrate the beauty of being a Cambodian person. What's really important as an agency is that we have people understand and know that you are who you are, and as an agency, it doesn't matter what your skin is, we want to make sure that you get the services you need and that we respect who you are as an individual. So we've been able to, I don't want to say successfully because we're still working on it, but what I can say, because of the experience working on it, we've been able to build a lot of allies and a lot of friends in the community, and to build trust again. Because trust is one of those things, if V doesn't trust me to be the ED of the agency, then her and the board wouldn't hire me, you know. And I'm also an individual that believe that you have to trust people from the beginning. They have to, you know, you don't earn trust. You trust them from the beginning, and then you see what happens. And if they break your trust, that's when you make a decision then on what you want to do with that relationship. And so in the end of the day, I think what's really important is that you have to take people in for who they are, and then they have to work with you and they share with you what they become. You know, and then it's in the end of the day, you also have to make that decision as well if they are the perfect fit to be around your circle or not. You know, I think it's really about who you are as a person. But I really do think that this experience working with the political realm is very fascinating. You know, I mean, the general community says that Khmer people aren't engaged in politics, but if you think about it, they are. How do you tap into that political realm and make sure that they are able to be more engaged in Lowell, but in the United States and in other areas? And so there's a way to do that.
Yeah, I know it's kind of unfair for you to just inherit this out of nowhere, because the previous generation leading this organization, they no longer part of the organization in, as I understand, in the past few years. So it's kind of unfair to look at CMAA and remember the past, while now is completely under different and new leadership. I mean, how do you want it to, or how do you portray yourself as you come out and lead the organization? You inherit something that was already had a downfall. Like,
well, I don't think CMA was heading for a downfall per se. I think that, you know, in the beginning of the organization, the goal was to support its community here and give them resources to literally make it. Like, you know, remember your parents coming over here, not speaking a word, not knowing what to do. The only help and assistance that we had was our sponsors, our families that, you know, brought us over here. But after that, there's only so much they can do. They can't hold your hand through, you know, the whole time. So coming into the city, I know a lot of families reached out to, you know, city officials and the community itself. So that's why CMA was founded. And, you know, in the beginning, we were refugees, so we had the funding and we could use those resources to, you know, help the community. But sometimes those resources and those needs are kind of, you know, overlooked, or some people didn't know where to go for that information. This goes back to, you know, getting the information out there. How did people get the information out there that there was a organization in Lowell, Massachusetts helping the Cambodian community if it wasn't word of mouth? There was no newspaper in Khmer. There was no radio station, no radio show in Khmer to get that information out. So it was really word of mouth. And, you know, yes, it was a small community coming into the city, but as we grew, that information went out there, and the services were being, you know, distributed to our community members. But just like any other struggling nonprofit, we are a nonprofit. We don't get, you know, we don't get a paycheck. We go out there and we try to find our funding on our own through grants and partnerships and events. You know, the 35th anniversary is, yes, it's a birthday party to celebrate our 35 years of serving this community, but it's also one of one of two major events that we have every year to raise funds. And those funds go directly to our programs, our services. We wouldn't be able to open our doors every day if we didn't have events like this. So, you know, it has been trials and it has been a lot of work, but I do have to say that all the work really does pay off, because you see where we are now. It is a completely different leadership, but I think that with any organization, we look at the past and we grow from that, we learn from that, and we move forward, and we try to engage more professionals, young professionals, Cambodian professionals, non-Cambodian professionals, to come into our organization and kind of look at what we've done and help them see that, you know, maybe they can make a difference. Maybe they can see the next 35 years of CMAA, because Sovanna and I aren't going to be here forever.
Right.
I have one more year, so.
But, you know, to kind of pick on that point, that I also wanted to, you know, acknowledge and give Sovanna so much credit for. I think when people were worrying 5 years ago, before Sovanna came in, that CMAA was really gonna run out of money and they're gonna close the door.
Yes.
And when Sovanna came in around that time, I think some of the decisions that your new board, which you were already part of at that time, helped make the decision to buy a new building, move into School Street, which instead of renting, and you were able to, you know, create new programs, got new grants money. You started with only $300-something thousand budget per year, and now you almost double it in 5 years. So, you know, those are some of the incredible success that I think those are the new image that that people need to see under the new leadership.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a lot of hard work, and Sovanna is Sovanna. Like, I can't, I don't have anything else to say.
So, I mean, so I mean, with this success, like, what do you want to say to people who knew CMAA, what was happening then, and now CMAA today?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to say?
I want to say thank you. You know, I want to say thank you, because we wouldn't be able to do the work we do without the foundation that they built for us. I think what really happened with our generation is that the previous generation were able to think about something like CMAA. You know, they were able to come together and say, we need an organization to support our community. How do we fund it from the beginning? Yes, you mentioned before that it may have its issues, but I think many organizations have issues. But what I can say is that we are one of very few mutual assistance associations that still survive and that still exist. And we exist because of the foundation that was built from the people before us, but also our new partners, our previous partners, and supporters like Khmer Post and yourself, because you can easily take this day off and go do interview other people. You can go interview CTI or UTech or anything like that, right? But you look into your heart and you look into your soul and say, you know what, I really want to interview Sovanna and Vic today, because they're doing great work at CMAA, and we as the leading Cambodian newspaper want to support their work. So it means a lot to us, you know, for you to take half an hour, well, about an hour, right, to prepare for the show as well. So we are honored to be on the show, because we know that when you post it on social media and on YouTube and LTC's channel, people are going to see it. And it's with your help that we're able to send our message. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And you know, I think before we come on the show, I was just really thinking, I was like, this is beyond CMAA. This is life, your life, because you know, for what you've been through as a child and the community that was just growing by itself, and then you come into this leadership role that it just kind of right there in front of you, if you don't do something about it, it's just gonna die. I mean, so with this celebration, it's kind of, I think it is some kind of a bit of emotional moment for you guys, isn't it?
I think every year is.
Every day.
I feel like every year we do an anniversary, and every year, well, for the last 5 years, Sovanna and I would go up there and we're like, we're really doing this again. Like, this is, you know, we're celebrating another year of success with support of so many people in the room. So, you know, it's been amazing work, and it's been hard work, but as many as the organizations that I'm involved with, like Sovanna says, I think CMAA has really impacted me personally, because I'm Cambodian American, and to be honest with you, I knew the services were there. I knew CMAA was there prior to being a volunteer, but just like anybody else in the city, you can kind of look at it from afar and say, yeah, they probably do good work. You know, I'll donate and I'll sponsor here and there. But until you really walk through our doors and speak to our staff and speak to our clients that are sitting there learning English or playing a cultural, a Cambodian instrument, like you don't know what happens in these walls until you walk through and you're like, wow, this is pretty amazing that it's going on every single day and not everybody knows about it. So again, thank you for having us on and letting us, talk about an organization that's so important to us. And I hope that you and your viewers can join us on Friday the 13th for our gala. It's at Bailan City. It starts at 6. We are trying to get as many people in the room as we possibly can that have been so supportive and so impactful in our journey this year, not just the last 35 years, but we want to say a big thank you to everybody, and we hope that everybody can make it.
Well, then why don't you give a little more information about the event? Will there be a live band?
You know what? I think I want to take this chance to not just talk about the gala, but you two mentioned it earlier about the culture and the feeling about being at CMAA. And so CMAA, very intentional, it feels like a family. And the reason why is because for me personally, I think what makes us operate efficiently is that we respect and love each other. Because we can only do that inside our doors first, then we're able to spread that in the community. Because the last thing we want to do is to have community members walk in the door and don't feel the love that we have with each other. So if community members walk in the door, we know that they need help, whether it's getting the citizenship, whether it's applying for mass health, we know that they need help. As soon as they walk in, as soon as they feel like they're welcomed and warm, then we know we did our thing. And so we really think it's really important that we have lunch together. We celebrate with the board. We do the birthdays. We do the celebrations. Because we want to make sure that the community sees that. Because if we don't get along, then how are we going to help others if we don't get along ourselves?
That's true. That's a great philosophy to live by.
Yeah, and so the gala itself, yes, it's 35 years. Bailan City, 6 Branch Street. Our biggest accomplishment, and one of our biggest accomplishments is celebrating one of our greatest philanthropy partners, the Theodore Edson Parker Foundation. They funded many organizations since the early 80s. Since 1986, they funded over $750,000 towards CMAA. So that's $750,000 over the last 30 years that they've given to CMAA. You can imagine how much commitment they have to the organization. And so, and did you know, fun fact, that the Parker Foundation used to only fund around the Boston area, but because of the Cambodian refugee movement, they focused their funding only in Lowell. And so that was a fact that I learned very recently, and we as an organization are very proud to celebrate them and their partnership this Friday. So they'll be there.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And what's the tickets?
Oh, tickets are $75. It's still considered one of the lowest in Lowell. You go to Boston, it hits 200 range. But there's $75 for a general audience, and it's $35 if you're a senior and you're a student. You can buy it online at www.mktix.com, which is mktix.com/CMAA. Or you can call our office at 978-454-6200. You'll talk to one of our staff and they'll help you figure out how to buy a ticket there.
Right, or just go on social media.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Our social media is pretty active as well, so yeah.
Well, I think our time has coming to the end for the interview. Thank you for joining me in this segment, and it's been really a great joy talking and learning more about your insights and feelings, what the organization means to you and the work that you're doing. I think a lot of people sometimes they just take it for granted that job is a job, but this is more than a job for you. Yeah. And any last word?
I just want to say that community work is work that you sacrifice your own well-being for the health of others. You know, you look at yourself and you say, yeah, I think I have the things that I need, but when you see others happy, it makes you happy too. So that's how I feel.
Well, by the way, congratulations on a new baby.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. To the world out there, I have 3 beautiful girls.
You're going to be outnumbered?
Yeah, I'm already outnumbered.
Women rule.
Yeah. It's true, even at CMAA. So,
all right, everybody, thank you for joining me this segment. See you next time. I'm Soben Pin.